Queen Elizabeth II is someone who does not need any introduction whatsoever.
Of course, everybody knew the longest-serving British monarch.
Queen Elizabeth ruled the United Kingdom and other Commonwealth territories from the 6th of February 1952 until her sad passing in 2022. She held the title monarch in 15 of the 32 sovereign states, where she governed as Queen Regnant during her lifetime. She ruled for 70 years and 214 days, which is beyond impressive. It is the longest known tenure for a female head of state in history and the longest of any British monarch. So, you might be asking yourself, who exactly was Queen Elizabeth II and how did she rule for over 70 years, and do it quite successfully, might I add? You might be shocked and amazed at some of the accomplishments throughout the years by this amazing woman. In today's video, we will take a look at the luxurious life of the late Queen Elizabeth, from how she got into power, where she earned her money, and what kind of royal life she lived. Strap yourselves in. Princess Elizabeth Alexandra Mary was born on the 21st of April 1926 in London to Elizabeth Bowes-Lyon and Prince Albert, Duke of York. Most people did not realize Elizabeth would grow up to be the Queen of Great Britain when she was born. Elizabeth was able to enjoy her first 10 years of life with all the benefits of being a princess without the stress of being the heir apparent. After King George died in 1952, her mother, Queen Elizabeth, assumed the title of Queen Mother, and her daughter, Queen Elizabeth II, took the title of Queen. At 25 years, Elizabeth was crowned Queen Elizabeth II on the 2nd of June 1953 in Westminster Abbey. On the 20th of November 1947, at London's Westminster Abbey, Elizabeth wed her distant cousin Philip Mountbatten, a surname he adopted from his mother's side. In 1948, the couple were blessed with a boy child named Charles and, in 1950, a daughter named Anne. Later on, they got two other children, Andrew and Edward. After reigning as the British monarch for 70 years, you might wonder, how wealthy was Queen Elizabeth? As the living representation of Great Britain, Queen Elizabeth benefited from lavish spectacles and adoring parades. The Queen had a personal net worth of $550 million, which included valuable jewelry and unique real estate assets like Scotland's Balmoral Castle and England's Sandringham House. Still, she received far more by being the head of state. These benefits include access to Buckingham Palace, the crown jewels, and substantial quantities of money for lavishly entertaining visiting dignitaries. But what was the primary source of income for the Queen? According to Fortune, the Queen and the royal family can live extravagant lives in addition to her inherited fortune because of a £16.5 billion trust known as the Crown Estate. The priceless crown jewels, Buckingham Palace, as well as vast swaths of real estate, including entire sections of property and buildings in London, over 260,000 acres of farmland, half of the UK shoreline, nearly all of the seabed surrounding the UK, and billions of dollars worth of industrial properties and retail space are all technically owned by the monarchy and not by any one person. Surprisingly, the Queen received 15% of the trust's annual earnings, around $363 million. In addition to the income from the Crown Estate, the Queen also earned over $20 million a year in rent and sales from a piece of property known as the Duchy of Lancaster. Even though they are multi-millionaires, the Queen and her family can live like multi-billionaires thanks to the trust and the duchy. Tax dollars partly support the royal family's opulent lifestyle. Basically, the royal family is thought to cost the taxpayers upwards of £334 million annually. Some would say that's a little too much for us regular folk. According to a large portion of the population in the UK, it's recommended that the government should give the royal family less money, especially since they already enjoy significant personal riches and other benefits. I'm guessing they don't seem too bothered about it though. Let's take a look at Buckingham Palace. It is located in the London borough of the City of Westminster. The enormous palace has 775 total rooms. Hide and seek would have been fun growing up here. There are 78 bathrooms included in these rooms. No morning queues for the shower, it seems. Although the majority is off limits, some areas of the castle can be toured. Moreover, the palace's 19-state suites serve as the counterpiece of the summer tours. The Queen spent her time with her guests in these chambers, and that's not all. There is a massive, ornately carved grand staircase made of bronze. The palace is adorned with priceless artwork, exquisite ceramics, and timepieces. Since there are so many analog clocks, 2 full-time employees are employed to wind and maintain them. The expansive, luxuriant gardens at Buckingham Palace are an addition to these elements. Interestingly, there is also a 3-acre lake on the site. Queen Elizabeth's garden parties were naturally held on the palace's grounds. If you thought Buckingham Palace was impressive, wait until you see Windsor Castle, another royal family residence. It is one of the Queen's 6 homes, one of the largest occupied castles in the world with approximately 1,000 rooms. The house has a lengthy history. The British royal family has resided there for about a millennium, making it the oldest continually occupied castle in the world. In terms of Queen Elizabeth's history at Windsor Castle, she spent a lot of her formative years there. She and her sister, Princess Margaret, reportedly sought refuge there during the London bombings of World War II. But it's not all bad history there. Royal weddings, including Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's, have also taken place at Windsor Castle. Interestingly, the castle has hosted 17 marriages as of October 2018. After all, the location is lovely. Even with all her duties, Queen Elizabeth loved to travel and enjoyed getting away as much as she could on her duties. Queen Elizabeth also traveled quite a bit for her obligations as a monarch. In 1952, when Elizabeth became the Queen of England, she made her first trip abroad to the Queen of Kenya. She has been to over 120 countries during her reign. She has stopped in Canada at least 27 times, making it clear that this country is her favorite. Canada legally belongs to the Commonwealth and is ruled by her. You might be surprised to learn that Queen Elizabeth had no say in where she traveled. The British government was in charge of it. Its choices were based on the safety of a potential visit. As it turns out, not even the Queen of England, or, Canada, gets to do everything she desires. She did, however, have access to flights without a passport. The Queen did not need to carry a passport because they were issued in her name. She frequently traveled on a private plane that she had access to. She flew the Royal Air Force aircraft Voyager to get where she was going. Access to this plane is also available to members of the royal family and the government. And, like you had guessed, taxes paid by British residents fund these expensive travels conducted by the Queen and other royals. The only exception is when the Queen visited another Commonwealth nation. In some situations, the country she was visiting paid for her journey. The monarch was also accustomed to riding the train. She took one every year to get to the Norfolk estate of Sandringham. She chose a commercial train for those journeys because, historically, the royals spent Christmas there. And now, what woman wouldn't spend her money on designer handbags? Queen Elizabeth, like many women before her, enjoyed spending money on beautiful designer handbags. She has long been a supporter of the pricey label, Launer. Her mother gave the then princess her first Launer bag in the 1950s, and she hasn't looked back. The Queen Mother loved the brand, and Queen Elizabeth still possessed the purses her mother owned from Launer. According to Gerald Bodner, CEO of Launer London, Queen Elizabeth owned 200 handbags from the company. In the majority of pictures taken of her, you can see her sporting one. However, the Queen's devotion to the brand was not free. They can cost up to $2,346 per purse, but to a queen, it may as well be the price of a coffee. Moreover, she used them as a code word for her assistants, making them more to her than just purses. The Queen would signal to her staff when she wanted to end a conversation by shifting her purse from her left arm to her right. Sneaky, but effective. So what about her car collection? Queen Elizabeth owns multiple luxury cars. The Queen enjoyed driving, though she rarely traveled far. She could be seen driving to church or strolling around the grounds of her country estate. She had a lot of possibilities for a vehicle despite being close by. Interestingly, the Queen was frequently seen driving her Range Rover in photographs, although the royal family occasionally appears in a Jaguar. Town and Country claims that Queen Elizabeth also owned a Bentley State limousine. It was expressly created for her 2002 Golden Jubilee to give onlookers a better view of her. She had other Bentleys as well though. According to Business Insider, the automaker allowed her to purchase the first Bentley Bentayga when it was released in 2015. She could surely afford the most expensive SUV in the world despite its high price. Moreover, it is the quickest SUV available, so who knows, maybe the Queen enjoys speeding around her estate with no one watching. We won't pass judgment. Apart from all the lavishness, did Queen Elizabeth have another life we didn't know about? Elizabeth had a passion for horses, breeding thoroughbreds, and spending a lot of time at races. She was not one for the spotlight and preferred peaceful activities. She liked to read thrillers, solve crossword puzzles, and, according to some reports, even watch wrestling on TV. Despite the fact that some countries didn't appreciate her, she was loved by many, and her passing has brought about sadness throughout the globe. What impressed you the most about Queen Elizabeth II? And should she be celebrated throughout history as one of the greatest monarchs that ever lived? If the Queen's video was impressive, check out the video on screen next.